Hey everyone, Dennis K here with Belize Islands Real Estate. Today I want to talk to you about something that I use often in my videos, and that is talking about the path of progress. So a lot of my clients have been asking me, Dennis, should I be looking in the path of progress? What should I be looking for when I use that term? And what things should I be aware of when I'm considering a developed area that is already established versus one that I term in the path of progress? So this is a very extensive subject. In fact, I'm going to be doing a full-length webinar on this in the future. But for the sake of this video today, I just want to talk about three key aspects to what makes a property or an area of a country in the path of progress, and some things that you should consider when you're looking at buying property in Belize. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to focus primarily on Ambergris Caye, but it also applies to other parts of Belize and other parts of the world, just depending on where you're looking at buying or living. So, what is the path of progress? Well, the definition that I use, or what I term a property, an area to be in the path of progress, means that there's something about it that it is lacking now, for a better word, lacking, that it is going to receive in the future that is going to increase the desirability of this certain neighborhood. So, for example, on Ambergris Caye, going back just short, 7 to 10 years ago, there was no way to access the west side of Ambergris Caye. So, what we now know as Secret Beach, Grand Belizean Estates, those subdivisions over there, Ambergris Bay, those were inaccessible. You could physically not get to them because there was no road access leading to this area that we now know as Secret Beach. And so for the longest time, in fact, forever actually, Secret Beach wasn't Secret Beach. It was nothing. There was nothing there. Why? Because that area was just stagnant. There was nothing happening. There was zero growth. Nobody visited the area. No homes were built. Then a road came in. This road now was the first key to start to opening up development in this area. That road led to the path of progress. Now we see development happening in that area. So homes are being built, businesses are being built. That road was key into opening up this area. Now, it's not only roads that open up new areas. In Belize, it can be because of accessibility, but other things that could be make a property in the path of progress would be, for example, electricity coming in. So, for example, if one neighborhood on the island currently doesn't have access to power or cable or internet, but we see that it will in the future. Why? Because we see that more and more is developing in this area. We see that there's talk of running power lines, getting power, then that area becomes a focus. Why? Because until that power gets there, property values will most likely be lower than other property values on the island where there already is power. And the third thing that makes a property in the path of progress is if there's something going on in the neighborhood that's a little bit more of a larger scale development. So, for example, you could have a neighborhood of, let's say, 100 or 200 single family home lots, and you might have one or two homes being built. Is that in the path of progress? Well, it can be. But what would happen now if a larger developer to come in, maybe a developer who plans on building 10 or 20 homes and selling them, or maybe someone comes in and wants to build a hotel nearby or a new resort nearby, right? Something that's going to anchor that neighborhood and bring more attention to the neighborhood. So with a, for example, with a resort or hotel, more people will be visiting the area. Most of the time people fall in love with the area where they first visit in Belize. So, for example, if I can use this analogy or this example up where the new Jimmy Buffett's property is going in. So, if that property goes in and opens up, imagine now the thousands of people every year who will be visiting that northeast part of Ambergris Caye. Right now, hardly anybody sees that. But in the next 2, 3, 5 years, as more and more people go to that resort, they start to look for things to do around there. Naturally, there's going to be springing up other services and businesses in order to take advantage of all those tourists, all those eyeballs, all those bodies looking for things to do, right? So that area could be considered now in the path of progress. Now, there's a couple of things that we need to take note of in point number one, as far as this criteria, and that is points A and B. What could be developing in a neighborhood is just simply more access to social or lifestyle activities. So, for example, if you go into one of the smaller subdivisions on the northeast side of Ambergris Key, maybe you've heard me talk about the Spanish Reef or Flying Fisherman subdivision, or maybe the Punta Azul South. You see, as more and more development starts to happen around these subdivisions, it might not change the subdivision itself, because the subdivision might already have access to things such as roads and power and internet. But as you see other businesses pop up around, it makes these areas more desirable to many people because there's more of a social or lifestyle aspect to them. But the thing that I look at as an investor, especially in those areas in the path of progress, is the financial return, the appreciation. Some properties and neighborhoods just grow organically. That is, they just grow with the passing of time, just like everything else kind of increases in appreciation with the passing of time. But especially in these areas that are in the path of progress, we see the ability, or we can just look ahead to the future a little bit, maybe a year, 3, 5 years, and we can see that development is growing in that area, and that some of these areas that I mentioned now are going to see a significant increase in prices, not just maybe a 5 or 10% increase, but talking, like what happened at Secret Beach, 35, 50, 100% increase on some properties, even more, because now the masses have caught on, right? And I think it was it Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player, who said, "I skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it is." So in other words, he looks at the puck, he sees the direction, jumps ahead of it, and so he's there to meet it when it arrives. So that's what we can do as investors in Belize. Is if we're just investing for the financial return, we can see, okay, where are the people going today? First of all, where were they going 3 or 4 years ago? Where are they going today? And can I track that path of movement? And can I see, okay, if this area where people like to go is now priced out of the budget of most people, but this general feel is what they're looking for, and I can see that there's some opportunities. Can I buy now and then have those properties ready for when they want to get there, right? So in other words, we could flip them, we could sell them or seller carry financing, we can just invest in ourselves. And this is an excellent way to look at buying and investing in the path of progress. Now, the question comes up, is buying in the path of progress good for everyone? No, absolutely not. For example, if you have a very short time window and you want now today certain amenities and services available, then you have to buy in an area that is already well established, right? Now, if your timing is, for example, 2 to 3 years out, then we can look and say, okay, if I'm not going to build my home and for 2 to 3 years, then where is the path of progress for me? It might not be way far away from development, but maybe it's a block or two away from something. Maybe it's within sight of where a new road is going to be, or we have a good idea that this area is now going to develop in the next couple of years because of everything going on. So you got to look at your timing. Now, if you have a 5 to 10 year window, so if you're in your 30s, 40s, early 50s, and you're coming to me saying, Dennis, I'm not going to build anyway for 5 or 10 years, where would you recommend the path of progress? Now it gets interesting. Now we can sort of look ahead, see where those subdivisions are, or where those land pieces are, where you can buy now, sit on them, don't do anything to them, just let it sit, wait for that progress to catch up. And then by the time you're ready to build your vacation home or dream retirement home, progress has caught up. So you might say, well, Dennis, aren't I taking a chance? What if the progress doesn't happen? That's what you have to be aware of. And that's why I don't recommend certain places on the island. For example, I had a client today email me about one specific area of the island. And I say, look, this area has extreme access issues. It's not on the path of progress. I don't think, I can't even say in the next 5 or 10 years if you're going to be able to access some of these properties. So you really got to look at that. But on some of the other properties, if you purchase wisely, let's say 10 years does go by and you come down to Belize and you sit on the property and say, you know what? I just don't see where I would want to be here right now. Well, if you bought correctly, then you should be able to sell that property for a significant profit and go buy something else where you do want to live, right? So it all ties into your short and long-term goals. And then finally, number three, we got to look at your personal preferences and adaptability. For example, I use the term path of progress in a good way. For instance, I might say, hey, look, these lots up in this area, they don't have road access yet, but in the next probably 3 to 5 years, it's going to have road, and here's why, and here's the criteria. And you're saying to yourself, well, you know what? I kind of like my privacy. I like boat access only. And there's a lot of my clients who do. They don't want road access. They want the ability just to take a boat back and forth to town, to get around the island. And they like the feeling of being off on their own. They like that pristine wilderness feeling, just to be at the ends of the world, so to speak. And so for them, I might not recommend the path of progress. I might recommend something just so far out there that, the progress probably won't even catch up in our lifetime, right? And I do have some of those properties available. So all of this ties in with, what are you looking for today? Are you looking for a financial investment only? Are you looking for an investment slash something that you and your family can use in the future, near future? I'm talking in the next 12 to 24 months. Or do you have that luxury where you can say, you know what? I want to buy something now. I'm not going to build for 5 or 10 years. Dennis, show me where the path of progress is. And when I do that, let me just give a couple warnings on this, guys. First of all, just because someone has a large portion of land and they subdivide that land and they're selling it off does not make that land in the path of progress just because they created a subdivision, right? And here's why. I can go up, let's say in the far north of Ambergris Key where there's nothing, and I can say buy 2 to 3 acres. I can apply for subdivision approval. I can have all these plots. I can go up there and I can clear it. I can make it look really nice, plant some palm trees, and I can tell everybody, look at this beautiful property. And it is, right? It is. But if it's so far remote that we don't see, even being progressive in our thinking, even thinking, okay, things are really going to boom, things are going to happen. If we can't see realistically how progress will catch up to that area, then to me, it's very speculative, right? It's just like you're now planning for the long haul, and maybe even a property that you won't be able to use, maybe even pass down to your kids, maybe they'll be able to use it. And there are properties like that on the island, and even more so on the mainland. So again, I have certain criteria that I work with when I consider my own personal investments for Steph and I work individually with my clients depending on what they're looking for, if they have cash, if they need financing. So if you want me to see how all of this might tie into your situation, then I don't know if I'll still have this going by the time you see this, but buy me a coffee. I usually have the link on these videos to buy me a coffee. And with that, we'll set up a Zoom call, see what we can do to find you your perfect property in Belize. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Take care. Appreciate it. And have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.